Good evening, YouTube. This is your guy J Crew to you. Coming at you with another video here. Uh, Today on December 7th, 2022. My second video I'm getting ready to do today. I want to do a video over a story that it kind of came to head over the weekend with the legendary uh athlete, I should say, but most known as a football player, Mr. Deion Sanders, or should I say Coach Deion Sanders, as he's been a coach over the last decade or so of his life since leaving professional football as a player. For anybody who's ever followed Deion's always been one of these flamboyant kind of, outspoken, just kind of a guy who's not too shy to express about how good he was as an athlete, and it kind of brings that pizzazz with him, even as a head coach, um, as his new profession. Uh, Over the last several years, I think he started coaching high school football at this school called Prime Prep, like somewhere out in Texas. And he coached his son Shadur, who's also the starting quarterback at Jackson State, and and some other players. I don't know any other players who played at this school just right offhand, but I know his son was a well-known quarterback out there who was a highly thought-of prospect. But what I want to get at with this story is that Deion has made headlines again as he usually does. I mean, he's just one of those guys that whatever he does, he's gonna bring a fair amount of pizzazz with it. Over the past couple of years, Deion's been coaching at Jackson State University, which is a historically black college and university, or HBCU for short. For those of you all who do not know, for the past couple of years, this was his second year coaching there, and I think both years he won the conference championship of which he coached. I think it's the SWAC. I think it's the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I think I may have that wrong. I may have that right, but it may be wrong. But you may want to check me on that. And nobody really paid attention to HBCU football really at all in this new century, or hell, even probably last century till Deion got to this school. And a lot of people love Deion's decision to go to a HBCU and try to get his coaching career going. I don't know if it's just the fact that other people did not want him at other schools when he first expressed interest in coaching at a collegiate level. I don't know if he had a lack of experience in collegiate coaching that made him go to a HBCU. But either way, even Deion's time here has been littered with a little bit of controversy, and I'm gonna get to that shortly. And I'm gonna just kind of segue into how I think that's played into his decision to go to greener pastures, as I say. Um, Most people thought that Deion maybe would start coaching at his alma mater when he was in college at Florida State University, where he expressed interest in doing that, and maybe not even as a head coach, which is what I thought it was going to be. I thought he was maybe going to go there and maybe coach defensive backs, which is the position that he played, or just coach some other position, not really as a head coach starting off. But I guess the opportunity at Jackson State came up, and when Deion got hired at Jackson State, the normally just barren wasteland that is HBCU football in terms of coverage from national media outlets all of a sudden got coverage. And I thought that was a wonderful thing. Deion talked about, I think Deion, even though he I think he did have his heart in it some, he spun it, I think, publicly to sort of make it look better than what it really was. And I'm gonna get to that here in just a second. Dion would talk about, well, it's good to be amongst our people, meaning black folks, seeing how much talent is down here, and them enjoying the halftime celebrations and good quality football with young men of color. And but with that came his shortcomings of coaching young men in HBCU football, mainly the financial aspect of it. Deion, I think, was getting paid maybe a little bit over $300,000 a year, and over the past couple of years since Deion has been there, he's brought a lot of light to the plight of HBCU football. With the money they don't have huge athletic budgets that some of these bigger schools have. Like you may look at an Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State. You may be dealing with schools that may have a $30 million budget up annually, and that's just for the football program, or should I say for the athletics program generally. Just generally speaking, they may have $30 million budgets and up for all the athletic programs. And so but of course when you're talking about smaller time football, like which is HBCUs, it's gonna be much smaller. I may be misquoting it, but like I remember Deion said, maybe the football program maybe had just over a million, in terms of a budget or something like that. And keep in mind, he has to get paid along with his assistants, and so that money, it sounds like a lot. When you start breaking it up, it really ends up being nothing. Dion also was known to sort of criticize the conditions of the locker rooms. He said when he was, he did a interview with 60 Minutes some months back, maybe a couple months back, and he was talking about how bad the condition the locker room in. He said he had been to high school football stadiums, in recent years. They had better locker rooms than what was at this college, Jackson State University he coaches at. There was some of the landscape there was not very well kept. Dion was known to break out a lawnmower, start cutting grass, when he had time, and he was known to do that. And so it had its shortcomings, even though it seemed like it was cool. But keep in mind, he's Deion Sanders. He's brought some things to this university and HBCU football, other than his name. Dion, man, I think I did a video about this maybe some month back. Dion made huge headlines earlier this year when he signed one of the top players, if not the top high school football player in the country, Travis Hunter. What happened is that Travis Hunter was expected to slide with Florida State in terms of signing a football scholarship. He played both wide receiver and defensive back, and he was going to play both ways in college. But what happened is Dion kept talking to him, and I guess it's kind of let him know, hey man, here at the school over here, you get a chance to be around your people where you can grow as a young man and a ball player, and plus you can probably be like me. And I'm just kind of, probably either summarizing and probably embellishing a little bit of what Dion said. But Dion signed him to a scholarship, and everybody was like, what the hell? How did Dion do that? This dude should have been to a top school. But he didn't, and that was the important thing. It showed folks that even at an HBCU, Dion's name and his power of persuasion could bring top talent to the school. He signed some other top players, but I just can't think of their names off the top of my head. I think maybe some linemen or maybe like a linebacker here and there. He signed some other top players. And he did that just in his second year. And when he did it, it made waves. Keep in mind, over the last few years of college football, they've created those name, image, and likeness deals where football players can sign endorsement deals and get paid. So it's somewhat leveled the playing field. And so, I think that maybe contributed to Travis Hunter's decision to come there because he didn't maybe have to worry about money like that. But either way, Dion signed him, and he just kind of sent the college football world to a tizzy. And I want to say in the middle of this current season, Dion's team had beaten, I want to say maybe it was Grambling, and Eddie Robinson Jr., who's the son of one of the greatest coaches of HBCU football, Eddie Robinson, was going to the field to sort of greet Dion. And Dion, did the whole thing where he extended his hand and said, hey man, great game. The coach, Eddie Robinson, kind of swatted Dion's hand out the way. And that made headlines. Because Dion was like, hey man, what was that? Because that was recorded live. And I think Dion may have run up the score on Eddie Robinson Jr. And maybe that was a coaching mistake on Dion's fault. On Dion's part. To maybe run up the score like that. But he got to swat his hand out the way. And then after the game, it got even more controversial because they were asking Eddie Robinson Jr. about that gesture of him sort of dissing Dion by not shaking his hand and swatting out. He said he's not swag. He's not swag. And what he was saying was that Deion, he's not really, down for the cause like he may appear. He's not really a member of this conference that we're in. He's fake. He's not here for us. And Deion was like, yeah, I am swag. He's our coach football here. So that was another thing that happened. And I'm not sure about when this most recent event happened. But I just heard, given this news, that Deion took another job outside of Jackson State over the weekend. That at one point in his 2 seasons at Jackson State, Deion's jewelry was stolen. When he was coaching the game, and this is something I just missed. Somebody broke into their locker room, I think, while he was out there coaching the game, and they took some of his jewelry and some of his other valuables. So it tells you got some deal with some dusty Negroes down there who just ain't decent people, who probably kind of fit into this stereotype of black thugs and black idiots who don't deserve respect. So that was another thing that caught my eye about, what happened with Deion. And I said, you know what, maybe that's the reason why he didn't want to be involved with, maybe the Negroes like that, because, you may have stuff happening like that he's not into. He don't feel like he may get that kind of treatment if he goes to a better school that has more higher prestige. There may not be as much jealousy there. There was some more things I heard about Deion. As I told you, I think he was getting paid a little bit over $300,000 a year. I think he would donate half of some of his game checks to the school to help increase the quality of the facilities. And so that was something else Deion did. But again, what coach really wants to do that if you don't have to? Who wants to do that? That was something else Deion was putting up with as a result of playing at a lower level of ball. He was trying to help out as much as he could. And y'all might hear the heater on in my background, so I apologize with the extra noise. But I'm trying to think of anything else that may have happened. Deion was if you need y'all watch what's that Fox Sports, you'll see that show called Skip and Shannon. And Shannon Sharp over the past few years has always been open with his opinions about Deion because him and Deion are friends. Shannon Sharp, of course, being the Hall of Fame tight end that mainly played with Denver, who later played with the Baltimore Ravens in the latter half of his career. Shannon Sharp was hilarious, and I like watching him. And he's a very funny guy and who's very articulate. Shannon talked about how Deion not having the resources at a smaller school, but yet he's able to get all this done, is going to tell you that he's not going to stay there long. Because he knows he can do better as a coach, enhance his coaching resume, and live his dream post player as a good coach. You know what I mean? And so nobody's gonna say at a lower level institution if they can get to a higher level one, if the opportunity comes along. Deion said as much in that same 60 Minutes interview that I referenced a few minutes ago. So, Shannon Sharp was spoken, and I agree with that opinion. Deion was gonna move to a better school, who was at one of what we call the Power 5 conferences at the highest level of college football, if he got a chance. And I think people should understand that, and people should have known that. Let me say this. Let me bring a picture up here. That's Deion. Over the weekend being introduced as the University of Colorado head football coach. And so that's him there with his hat on, his suit on. There have been videos floating around YouTube in which he announced it to the Jackson State team that he was going to take the football, he was going to take the head coaching position at Colorado. And there was also a video of him walking around the locker room with the Colorado players. And this even called controversial. Even though he was just arriving as a coach, he said, "Hey man, I'm bringing my own luggage. Y'all are welcome to leave and hit the transfer portal. But I don't. If you guys ain't willing to work hard, if you ain't really kind of do what it takes to win, y'all go ahead and hit the transfer portal and get on out of here." And some people took Deion's comments out of context, saying he just told the whole team they could transfer, but they didn't really spell it out. You know what I'm saying? But let me say this. Deion Sanders owes nothing to HBCUs. Just with his 2 years there, he's brought light to a lot of the plight that's going on there. Uh, in terms of them not having the funding. But Deion is one man. He can, even if he stayed there 10 years, he can't fix the whole plight of HBCUs by himself. There has to be other individuals that come along that want to help lift these schools up out of their destitute way. And I don't understand why people don't get that. People were functioning like, well, they gave him a chance. Nobody else really want to hire Deion. But yeah, this is a free country. And Deion has ambitions as a head coach. He knew that all he was doing, he donated some of his money, to the school. Like I said, from some of the game checks, cutting the grass. He was doing that when he didn't have to. And so that shows you that when Deion gets to the University of Colorado, I bet you they got at least a landscape crew that can cut the grass in the field. They're going to have a bigger budget than what Jackson State had. Our parents, as teachers, as we're growing up, y'all need to take advantage of every opportunity that comes y'all way so y'all can be as successful as possible. That's all Deion's doing. He's taking advantage of an opportunity that presented itself. Let me say this. I was surprised he took that job at Colorado. I was thinking that Deion may have been going to Auburn or something like that in the SEC. But I kind of understand his decision to go to Colorado as well. Because I think, let me flip back this other page. Because it says right here in this little area of this little article about Forbes magazine that Deion, he's going to earn more than $5 million per year as head coach of the Buffaloes. And I bet you Deion was thinking, okay, I don't have to probably, submit any of my game checks to help pay, for the upkeep of the facilities. And he shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to worry about doing that. Deion shouldn't have to do that. And again, it tells me that a lot of these HBCU presidents, they need to get off their butt and learn how to compete if they really want to have high-power programs that are respected. Learn from what Deion did. Work on sponsorship deals. Work on getting good at NIL deals for your players. And don't just sit up there and just don't try to do anything for them. It's almost like you're looking for this savior in Deion Sanders from these HBCU perspectives, and you're expecting him to save the day for you. And you can't expect it. I'm here to tell you, I think a lot of these people, they in for a disappointment. They think that's what's going to happen with Deion. They shouldn't expect that just on general principle. Don't expect somebody to save you. Go out there and save yourself. Work. I hope they learn from what Deion was able to teach him in the few years he was there. But understand that their talent will keep getting poached up if they don't learn how to compete. They need to bring in professionals who know how to raise money, who put together pools of money to feed prospects and to feed facilities at their programs. That's why I hope the HBCUs do, because Deion don't owe them nothing. Like I said, they didn't have to give him that job, but he didn't have to take the job. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. And hopefully the HBCUs kind of peep game, as we say, and they understand how to build a program like Deion was doing in his few short years there. Well, I want to end that video on that note and say, congratulations to Deion Sanders. I've always been a fan of his. I like the fact that he's looking to be competitive as a coach as he was as a player back in the late 90s or early 2000s, in the 80s. I want to say I hope that he succeeds at Colorado because he had a lot of work to do. They haven't been, I think they were maybe 3-8 last year. They just were not that good. So she got J. Crew to you signing off here on December 7th, 2022. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Y'all have a good one.